Well, as foreshadowed, we're putting together all the formal documents to be agreed within the consortium by the end of this year, and that's happening. It's all been lodged with the government for approval of the principal financing documents. And the government has also now just approved the budget allocation for doing their bit on construction of infrastructure as their contribution. Well, effectively, we've always had a plan for a stockpile funding facility because some tens of millions of dollars of the initial investment is actually to build an ore stockpile ahead of production. At the moment, it's in the order of $30–40 million, that plan for a stockpile. So a funding facility goes hand in hand with that ore stockpile. It hasn't been formalised yet because it's two years away from that moment, but that's always been the plan. No, we're still talking of $20 million equity component because that working capital that I was referring to in respect of the ore stockpile is an investment 18 months from now. The equity is required in the construction before that moment. So the $20 million residual equity component is still what we're planning. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to make too much of it, given where we are. I think it's possible, but you wouldn't want to rely on it. I think what is important is that we don't have to raise that large amount of $20 million equity until after all the commitments are made for the debt side of it. That's the key thing. And it is a $300 million project, which now only needs a $20 million equity component. So we've brought it right down by virtue of all the arrangements that we've been putting together. The base contract is a 2-year build. There's potential to bring it shorter, and there'll be incentivization to bring it in quicker, but that's the base contract. Now, what's happening now and early in the new year is what you'd call the pre-works components, so that we can achieve what the contractors refer to as a hot start to try to compress the actual construction period as much as possible. But the base contract is 2 years. So you're talking of construction 18 and 19 and commissioning at the end of 19. Never changed for us. The state of emergency really was what I would call a tightening up by the government administration. It's the world's highest growth country now. It has been one of the world's top 10 growth countries for 15 years running. So it's straining in very many ways to keep systems and bureaucracy up to the rate of growth. And during the state of emergency, the government overhauled many aspects of government as part of their governance improvement procedures. It's not widely recognised, but they did. For instance, land compensation is now under an independent tribunal. And it's to do with making sure that they're keeping their disciplines and anti-corruption moves and things like that on a par with the rate of growth. So we've never been directly affected. We elevated our precautionary measures, but we were never directly affected, and we haven't been directly affected before, during or since. I mean, straight cash costs in terms of pure operating is in the 600s. AISC, including maintenance capital or recurring capital, you're talking whisker under $800 an ounce. And in terms of covering all the financing and all that stuff, you're talking of $1,000, everything. But pure operating, it's in the 600s. The open pit itself, unlikely to be extended of itself. There will be an underground mine because the deposit continues underground, and just a question of how big it will be really. But we've already drilled out resources underground to the same level of drill density as the open pit. So there is an economic deposit there. In terms of open pit production, it's likely to be satellite deposits. There are a number of them. They need to be properly proven up in terms of resource reserve, but we've already got quite a number of discovered satellite deposits on our books, and they need to be worked up. So our expectation is that the Tulu Kapi open pit, that's now, if you like, bankable, will be complemented by an underground mine and some production from nearby deposits as well. Priority number one has to be brownfield development complementing a production unit. So it has to be, from the point of view of bang for the buck, for short-term return, that anything that can be done to increase the production of Tulu Kapi it has to be priority number one. Having said that, there are some company making opportunities on our books in Saudi Arabia, and we have a joint venturer there who's quite keen to attack, if you like, those opportunities with us. We only fund 40% of it, and they're of a scale that would have a huge sort of value effect to us. So there is room for them, if I can put it that way, and the funding plans that we've published and that we're going to pursue include provision to tackle those company making opportunities as well with our joint venture partner in Saudi Arabia.